This is Phantom Electric Ghost, and we're talking live from our home studio. In the background, you hear the power of the Moog grandmother using a sample and hold circuit. And we just like to play with our hardware synths. And what we're going to get into today is we're going to talk about um, the new Zoom R20, which is a really cool device for somebody like ourselves that like to do Dawless production. So a lot of what we do with expansive sound, which to define it is that we are, a hardware electronic musician using, analog, modular, and digital synths, but we like to capture them on hardware recorders. We first started doing this back in the day in the 80s, showing our age. We had a Tascam 4 tracker, a D5, which is like a lower end version of a D50, and a Korg sequencer. And we would take what we called, expansive sound and create these experiments and put them from the sequencer into the 4 tracker. We always loved that type of recording. We saw the DAW come and, the age of the DAW. But what we really like is the freedom to actually compose however we want without losing anything from compression, and just the kind of stream of consciousness nature of using a device like a non-DAW. So we've been using, like I said, Tascam 4 trackers, moved to a Zoom R16 hardware recorder when the Ghost first started recording back in 2016. We then moved up to an R24, which significantly sounds better. Um, right now, we're using a live track Zoom L8 podcast mixer and recorder, which does sound a lot better than even the R24. And we just got the R20. Now, the cool thing about the R20 is it gives you a touchscreen and gives a hardware Dawless producer the ability to move tracks around. As you create tracks, you can actually move them anywhere on the 16 track grid touchscreen, which is really cool and allows you to do some really interesting things, because you could do what you do on the DAW, but it's all kind of live and it's at the instrument. So if you put down drums and you want to move them around, or you put down a vocal and you say, oh, yeah, the last 2 minutes of this vocal is actually what should be at the beginning of the song, you can cut it and move it with your finger in real time, see what it does, go add another overdub, and it just is super powerful. And we find it's very useful when you're doing recording. So we're going to show a video that we did of using it again. So this is Phantom Electric Ghost, and here we are with our Zoom R20 again. As you can see, like, if you don't have the SD card, it won't do anything. We got a 1 terabyte card coming. So we're just going to go to the other side of the room where our other stuff is, and get our SD card out of our laptop, because we forgot to pull it out. So we got to get it out of here. So we got our SD card. We got 32 gigabyte. We got a 1 terabyte coming today, and this is the first Zoom that I've ever seen, that I know about, that actually is going to support a 1 terabyte card, and that's going to be pretty cool. So you can see once it has the card, it loads up the projects, and there's some templates in here. We tried a couple templates, but what's interesting is we really we dig how this thing works. Now, one thing we showed before is, like, to rewind to the beginning, you have to hit the stop like twice, and then if you see there's like this little arrow, a cursor, well, this brings up like the mutes. So you actually have to kind of slide to the right to bring the mute capability up, and then you can mute tracks, which is I wasn't clear on that until I had to go into the manual. And in the short manual that you get doesn't really, it might have that, but it's in the bigger manual. They have to get a PDF from the Zoom website. So it's actually important to read that manual because there's a couple of things I didn't realize. Like when you can actually use a WAV file on this thing, you can import a WAV file. So if you go to a track and you want to actually have a file come in, you can hit the add audio file. You'll see add audio file comes up. Now that file has to be 44.1 megahertz, and I use like a tool on the web that can convert to different formats. But if it's not exactly 44.1, it won't work. The other thing is if you set your file to be like 16-bit and that file comes over and it's 24-bit, it won't work. So it has to be, the same bit. So a 16-bit 44.1 megahertz file can't be added. But if it's not the right bit length and they're not right megahertz in terms of 44.1, it won't work. So that's one thing we learned. The drum machine is very similar to the drum machine that's on the Juno GI. The Juno GI actually has a rhythm section that is built based on doing patterns, and it's very similar in structure, like in terms of when you put it on. But because I don't have my SD card in here. But what's interesting is it is very much like exactly what Roland did on the Juno GI. When you go to do a rhythm pattern, which I think we have on this track, we gotta go to where I put it. And maybe I don't have it here. But if you go to put a rhythm pattern on, and then you hit the file button, you'll see that it brings in all the rhythm loops. And they all start with like an intro, a verse, a bridge, a chorus, and an outro. So we started using that. And what's cool about that is that you can actually just put, you could just take an intro, a verse, a bridge, and a chorus and an outro at the same BPM, like 120 BPM. And then you can actually cut and paste and move them around, which is what we did. So that is a pretty cool feature. Now we haven't used the FM synth because you gotta have a USB-C wire that's long enough to go to your controller. So we actually have a wire coming for that. I mean, it's cool they got the new standard, but then it means that I have a bunch of wires I can't use. But we've been doing some interesting recording on this side of the room with all of our hardware synths. As we said, we have everything coming in through the MX1 Performance Mixer, which can take in USB audio, and it can take in 1/4-inch audio, and it can take in 1/8 of an inch audio. So we can take a cell phone in on this. So this mixer is pretty cool. The other thing about this mixer that's totally different than the other mixer is it actually has a sequence that can happen. Effects can be triggered on each step. So there's 16 steps, and then each one of these effects, whether it's a delay, a filter, a scatter, flanger, bit crush, roll, can be applied to each particular step. And that's I haven't seen any other mixer that does that. So I've been using this mixer, since 2016 for most ghost recordings. We also use this Soyuz launcher when we have it connected to one of our mics. But this Zoom R20 is really great if you just want to do whatever you want. Like if you don't want to have any restrictions. Though I would say the one thing I found it's a little tricky, and I have messed myself up, that when going to slide some parts from one part to the next, if you don't have it set up as a stereo link and you try to slide it, I've actually in some cases lost the actual track, and somehow the undo, which I think they need to do an update on the undo, because like if you accidentally take something and try to cut and paste it and then it doesn't fit because it's not the right type of track, like it's not a stereo link track, you try to move it,
for some reason it just seems to disappear. And I don't know what I'm doing, but I think that's a bug, and I think they need to have a better undo. That if you do something like that, you can go back and bring it back. So I think they need to be able to recall like everything you did, and so if you accidentally cut and paste and then you lose it, then you can bring it back. Maybe you can do that. I gotta read the manual, but if anybody knows that, just kind of respond back. But other than that, it does let you do something on a digital recorder I never did before. I mean, you can take a recording and then start moving things around. You could say, well, I don't like this part at bar 14. I want to move it to bar 2. And you can do it. And it's pretty easy. You have to be careful, like I said, that you have stereo link tracks, are moved to stereo link tracks and mono tracks go to mono tracks. But once you figure that out, the other thing you have to figure out too is if you want to make space, like the way we record is we're using quarter-inch lines coming off the MX1. So we don't have XLRs right now. So what we have to do is just keep on recording track 1 and 2 and then moving it. So what you do is just you go through your recording and you take your last set of tracks and you know I think these are all muted, so I'll mute them. Um, I think I actually had them muted, so you see what happens when you unmute them. They come back up. But what I'm saying is you have to go and make sure you've got tracks that you can go to. Um, and once you have them, you just keep on making room for track 1 and 2, because like 1 and 2 is the only place where there's XLR or TRS. So in our example, that also would like to know how this just automatically scroll back to the beginning. Maybe there's a shortcut just to go right to the back to the beginning. Sometimes it doesn't seem to do that. But but what's interesting, like I don't want this to be a drum anymore, but whatever. Um, is because they don't have these as combos. If you want to keep on using quarter-inch lines, you have to bring them in. You have to keep on moving tracks 1 and everything down to open up tracks 1 and 2. Basically, what I'm saying. So you have to keep on moving everything down until you only have 16 tracks. So if you've got tracks left open, you just keep on taking the last couple tracks and moving them down, so you can have space for 1 and 2, and keep on adding to 1 and 2 as you record. And it lets you do it, and then you can move them around. So then you could actually take tracks 4 and 5 and move them, 5 and 6 and move them around, put them to 1 and 2. So that's pretty cool. So we're gonna talk about some of the songs we actually did with this in the bigger podcast. Thank you.
So we're back, and that was our little brief video again of using the R20, which we find as it's a big revelation. It's one of the coolest products I've seen for a Dawless producer, besides the Akai Force, which we also have. We also have an Akai Force, which we think is a great Dawless product, and also the L Live Track L8, which we're using right now. Um, so we're briefly going to talk about one of our sponsors. Double Jack Online is a philanthropic lottery. If you take your cell phone right now and you scan it, you can go out to play Keno and Powerball. You can become a influencer and actually get money from other people playing. If you get people to sign up, you get a percentage of every play of Keno and Powerball. They are only outside the US, but if you have a VPN, you could get into it. And it's a pretty cool way to play online and check it out. And also have it gives a percentage of profit to charity. So check it out. Take your cell phone, scan that, and check out Double Jack Online. So the other thing we're going to get into is some of our YouTube videos. So we're going to set that up in a second for the project that we use the R20 on. So we used the R20 to create a bunch of new songs, and then we used a bunch of videos, YouTube videos, which is typically what we do. We like to to do YouTube videos for our music because it's a good way to actually uh, promote on Instagram and Facebook and other places. Is that we create our own music videos using iPhone apps that we figured out how to layer all kinds of apps and kind of a way that we layer our tracks on a recorder. We use multiple types of iPhone visual apps, which have gotten really good on the phone. That you can do a lot of stuff you would think you could do on a Mac. You can do with these cell phone tools that we've been really into, and we think it's pretty cool. So right now we're just trying to bring up some of the videos that we did create. So just hold a second. We're just trying to get that set up, and it will actually show, or you'll be able to hear the use of the R20 in these songs. And we it's just been a really cool revelation because we had just picked up um, the actual Akai Force, and we put together like 2-3 albums just on Akai Force, and we just finished by an album and a half worth of stuff for the R20, and we have actually started to combine the abilities of both of those devices because, like I said before, the Zoom R20 can take in a WAV file if it's 41.1 megahertz and it's at the same bit length. And so you can bring that into the R20. So you could create something like High Force, make sure it's 44.1, make sure the bit length is what you want to do. Like if you're going to start a project that's at 16 on the R20, it was 16 on on the Kai Force, and then you can actually bring it in as a track and then overdub other tracks onto it. And then, you've got some work you did on the Force, and then there's some stuff you go and do on the R20, especially if you got analog synths and modular synths, you want to bring that stuff in. And I kind of got that set up in my other workflow on that side of the room. So what we're going to do now is we got the playlist up. I'm going to play the first song off this playlist for this album that we're going to call Deep Romantic Intent. And I'm going to play the first song. It's called Toys, the Toys in June's Playroom.
So erotically into she wants to do everything so erotically into she wants to fall like you she wants to do all the joy that I put into you. She's jealous and she says she wants to do. And all the joy that I put into you. She says she's so jealous and she says she wants to do. It's all a midnight when she gonna blow. She's going out the midnight in the tomb. Just another flower girl like you. They come at midnight, blossom in the tomb. We all show our psychic wounds. We all feel in tune. Oh, it's like a moon I put into you. I put into your best girl, June. She said, oh, toilet, she gets into her. She wants them too. What I do with girls like you, they're so radically into love. Getting controlled, and like a flower bloom. Midnight, we all get controlled. All personal demons on the one about you. Yeah, they're all told that her best girl in June. Oh, she said she wants to feel it too. Oh, We get so into it. She said, I want me to see that flower bloom. On midnight, all we consume is get all over you. Yeah, midnight, the floor is wrong. Yo, the toy I put in the jewelry. They want to feel that sex up too. And all the toy that I put up that grand jewelry. She want to, and she want to feel too. I'm so in tune when warm midnight flower bloom.
Yeah, we do what we want to do, and we do what we're going to do. And it's just so
So erotically in tune. Now, I had a best friend that she said I can have her too.
So that is the Toys in June's Playroom. And we're back to the main program. And so we were using the R20 on that. And it really allowed us to use that. What you hear on there is a DFAM, some effects coming from the R20 onto my voice through the studio electronics microphone that we're running through a BT3 vocal transformer with my voice a little pitched, a little crazy to get the Phantom, which we've been using the Phantom voice more than Josie's voice. But yeah, we just like the freedom of being able to use the DFAM because what we have on the other side of the room is we have a modular solution that has a DFAM and a Mother 32 and a Make Noise math module, which we use a lot to affect the DFAM. And the DFAM is the drummer from Another Mother, if you don't know. And it's a really cool drum machine that's not typical. It doesn't have MIDI, it only has 8 steps, but it has a patch bay and it has Moog oscillators, 2 Moog oscillators that are really different than what's in the Mother 32. They're not the same oscillators that are in the Grandmother either. So it's a really joy to use it. And there was actually a Mother 32 line in that being done through the sequencer on the Mother 32 and running through the math module. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can do. What I do is a lot of times I'll have the Mother 32 going into a math module at the same time the DFAM's going in. Sometimes affect it with the LFOs from an Arturia Mini Root 2S, or even use a morphogene to affect it, which allows you to do a lot of interesting things in terms of the rhythm. And so our rhythms are very industrial, kind of Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor, kind of early new romantic. Some of our heroes band is Joy Division in early New Order. Kraftwerk, of course, and Brian Eno's work with David Bowie is stuff that we're into. So we're going to get into another a group, an organization that we actually are. I think it's very important. So you should stop sex trafficking. There's a lot of sex trafficking going on in the world today, and we feel that if you check this out, it's very important to to look at what we got here. You got this use code, and if you buy the T-shirts from this organization, if you are into helping the victims of this type of bad action in terms of sex trafficking, all you have to do is click that bit.ly link, use the code Keith Giddens Jones, and anything that you buy in terms of like the merch they have there helps to help the victims of sex trafficking and get them shelter and away from their situation. So we think that's important. We do talk a lot about sexuality in our music, but that doesn't mean we support bad behavior. It's all consensual, everything we ever talk about. So that's one thing we put to keep this up for a second. And now we're going to get back to our main uh, purpose in this episode is to kind of show and hear the use of the R20 from Zoom. Not that they pay us, but we think it's a really good DAW solution. And also to think of it, it's kind of an all-in-one, kind of like an Akai Force, because there's a built-in rhythm capability. There's all these effects. You can chain multiple effects. And you've got DAW-like capability to move things around. And it's got an FM synth, which we haven't been able to try, but we've got a boutique Roland JD08 coming, and we've already got the boutique KM25 keyboard. And so once we get the boutique, we could actually use that with the USB-C line as a MIDI keyboard to play the FM synth. So for somebody who's just starting out and recording and is intimidated by a PC, they could get the Zoom R20, have a little MIDI keyboard as long as they have the USB-C MIDI wire, and do the drums, do the vocals, do the FM synth, bring in samples, like you can bring in WAV files. So it's pretty much a really good all-in-one solution for a producer. It's probably one of the best deals on the market today. Not that we're pushing them, but we do appreciate their sound, and we think it does sound significantly better. That not that it's just louder, it just sounds sweeter than even this L8 that we're using right now. So we're going to get into the next song that we were running. So we're going to bring our playlist back into the stream. We just finished with in June's Playroom. So we're going to get to the next track. So we're going to play the next track. So hold a second, make sure we can get to it. It's weird. Why doesn't let's get to? Oh yeah, that's all we got to do. So we're going to play the next song right now.
Last night, she walked in, the house is on fire. You don't need everyone, a woman like her, and that's her eyes. The boy got the marshals up to 11, and I don't need any single 7, and I just want to taste her little heaven. I ain't going nowhere. The boys put the marshals way past 7, and no, just a little taste of heaven. When she passes down, you know that she's not looking at any other guy, and she gave me that smile. Hello, like none, nothing like a child. You know what you want to do. You know you want it done. You know you want it done. You know, she got a look like enough. Wants to get done. At 7:15, crossing her legs, reach that house. Little make little calm proud. You make it all night now. It's a big thing all night now.
So that was the first use of well, not really, but the first really. We actually did use the drum machine on another track, but this is where we really explicitly used the R20 drum capability. So we're back to the main program. So yeah, the R20 again has a structure similar to what we found on the Roland Juno GI. It's got phrases of drum patterns. So you have intros, choruses, and just outros and the main rhythm for the track. You can put them together, you can extend them, so you can stretch them out. They all come in a certain size. I don't know if it's like 4 bars or 8 bars, and you can stretch them and they don't get time damaged. You can shorten them, you can clone them, and then move them around. So that song is 11:15. Is about the Phantom in a club finding a girl that's like really, you know, gonna pussy whip him heavy. And he's into that, and also the band's like pushing their marshals really hard, and it's a kind of a club scene in this age where you don't really have that anymore. It's kind of like a fantasy because it's not happening in real time. But the Phantom's just totally into this girl that's just like, driving him crazy, which is typically what we're doing is just totally enthralled with female genitalia and sexuality and everything that goes with that. And normally we do it in terms of Josephine Electric and from her perspective, but this time a lot of these songs have been taking advantage of our newfound confidence in our own voice or the male part of what we do with Van Electric Ghost, and we've been diving into that more. So we think that's pretty cool. Now, one other thing we're going to bring up now is Newsly, which is an app on iOS and Android. So if you go to newsly.me and use the coupon code Ghost 2021, which we hope is still active, you were able to get 1 month free. Hopefully, let us know if that's not still working. We'll get a new code from those guys. So just send us a message. But it's a really cool app. Basically, it reads the news to you in a natural human voice, and so you can multitask and be able to do things and still hear what's going on with the news without having to actually read it on your cell phone. So it's a cool thing. Go to newsly.me, get a subscription. Hope the code still works. It's Ghost 2021. So we'll get off of that now. And we did have T-shirts and stuff available, and we are doing a PEG Bedroom Producer Festival. Going to kick it off in February 11th through 13th. We've got a lot of bands going to play that, and we'll bring that up later. What the schedule is in another episode. We're still confirming and checking out with bands. So bands are going to play live, or they're going to send us a video, like an MOV or an MPEG or a YouTube link. And we did this in July, and it was pretty cool. We had a lot of fun. So we were really happy with what the Zoom drums are on that last track, 11:15. And what the bass line was is a Mother 32, heavily modified with a mass module, and then played manually on a Juno GI. So we've got our Mother 32 MIDI connected, so we can have the full 61 keyboard keyboard of the Juno, allowing us to play the Mother 32. Now, we also could have used the grandmother, but the grandmother was on the other side of the room, all linked up to an Akai Force. And it takes a little bit to set that up, so we didn't want to unhook it. And the Mother 32 is like a great, a lot of people say, well, that's only a one oscillator synth. But one oscillator mode, that thing is so powerful. And when you use it with a math module, you can get it to do harmonics through the math module. Even a Mother 32 by itself, if you read about what you can do with the patch bay, you can basically get it to sound like it has three oscillators. And then, if you combine it with the DFAM oscillators, you can turn it into like a mini Moog. You can have like, three oscillator sounds, and then use the keyboards or even the little triggers that are on the Mother 32 to play it. So you can play a Mother 32 without a keyboard because it has a little keyboard, little pattern, little buttons on it that let you play it. But a lot of times with the Mother 32, you'll trigger it from like LFOs or oscillators or other things. So we're very, we have had the Mother 32 since like it came out, and we find ourselves using it all the time, along with our maths module. We'd say as a producer, the maths module is like our go-to module for doing any kind of secret sauce to make our stuff sound different than anybody else. And then the Morphodine's another thing, so you can take samples and make them totally unrecognizable. So you're not ripping anybody off. You just totally use it as a sonic source, and you can, legitimately tear things apart and use it as just pure sound, which is what we like to do. And the other thing that, the grandmother is just a revelation, which is one of our favorite synths. We use it all the time. I mean, the two big things that we're always using is the Juno, which is our workhorse in terms of a polysynth. We are looking to replace it or, augment it with either a Phantom, which we've been kind of going back and forth, because we think the Phantom kind of does everything we want in a Roland modern synth. We know that the that the actual Jupiter X is another cool polysynth, and it's got some capabilities that the Phantom doesn't. But the Phantom has an analog filter, and it has the ability to do all these classic Roland modules. Plus, it just is built like a workstation. So it's another Dawless dream. And being a Dawless producer, having the Phantom along with the R20 and the Kai Force, it gives us a lot of capability. So if somebody gave us like an FL Studio file, or somebody gave us something, a WAV file, and we wanted to co-produce with them, we got multiple ways to do that. That we can visually do it on our Kai Force. We can now visually do it on an R20. So we can really be really tight about like making sure that before we were kind of playing like what we hear is what we get and not visually using a lot of DAW like tools that a lot of other producers depend on. We more depend on our ears than our eyes when it comes to some of that. So we're going to get to the next track that we did as this collection of R20 songs. So we're going to move to the next one. So hold a second. So bring it up.
Do it over, girl. That's do it over, girl. Do it over, girl. I'm feeling groove, wanna go up and down on you too. Do you move to your shoe? After you to all that flow. Do you go up and down? Do you go all of the note? Do you true? You know I want it, I do it over, girl. Do you know all of the no's? Do you true? You know I want it, I do it over, girl.
So you got rudely kicked off the net with one of these situations that happens on our net nowadays. But yeah, so that was a use of Juno GI using one of the cool things about the GI, which I don't know if everybody knows, is it has all these Roland Boss effect pedals built into it. So it has a really unique guitar sound. The other Rolands have those guitar sounds, but they don't have the fact that all these pedals or stomp boxes are built into the workflow on that particular Roland. So when you go to use the guitar sounds, you can add all these crazy pedals to it, so it really crunches out. And then it has this kind of like the ability that rolling builds into some of these things is a supernatural capability, which means that when you hit the modulation wheel it'll do feedback. It'll do, you can do pitch bends. You can get like, harmonics and all kinds of cool things. You can get string behavior because they build it into like if you do certain things with the keys, we do certain things with the pitch bend. If you do other things with pedals, it will actually act like a guitar. And so we're a frustrated guitar player, and we've been using that capability for a long time. The ability of it to do of the Roland GI with the stomp boxes built into the workflow. So that is something that we really dig, and we've been doing it really heavy for many years. And when we play live, a lot of times people get very surprised that they say, "Where's the guitar player?" They think he's hiding behind a curtain or something. And it's kind of, it's not that we're cheating because we're actually really playing. We're not running samples. We're not. A lot of people say, "Oh, you must be running guitar samples." No, I'm actually physically playing in real time with the Juno, and it sounds like guitar. It's something we've been doing for a while, and it's a lot of what the Ghost is this kind of heavy guitar, heavy metal kind of Zeppelin, psychedelic type of blues guitar licks thrown into industrial sounding stuff. That's kind of what expansive sound is. Sometimes we do a lot of piano stuff too, but it's the guitar kind of coming from this Juno. We've been very cautious about upgrading to another Roland because of that workflow. That stuff is not in the other Rolands. It's like typical Roland. Sometimes they make a synth that has a certain niche, and they only have that capability in that synth, and then they let it go, and then it's not in any other synth. And so that's something why we keep on using it. We probably would still have it when we want to do songs that require that stuff. So we're going to bring up some more songs from that playlist. We just because we got rudely knocked off the web, we lost our YouTube, so we just got to set it up again. Because we're going through a lot of the new songs that we've created to take advantage of the R20 from Zoom. And it's in part of this playlist on YouTube called Deep Romantic Intent, which happens to be the name of the album that a lot of these songs are going to be on. And so we're just setting it up. You can see the playlist is back up, and we had just gone through and played Lude with You on Reds and Blues, which has got this kind of guitar thing using the guitar capability of the Juno and the drums on the natural sounding drums on the Zoom. Now, the next song we're going to bring up for this is called Deep Romantic Intent. And it's more piano focused.
Sex on Thursday. Well, then this what she said. Longing for love, longing for love. Sex on Thursday. You said to me, see on where. That's what needs to love you. You said to me, let's take that thing back. Such a me, say, we get back into it. Such a me, say, yeah, well. Just a little, just a little, yeah. Piece of the little, yeah. Such a piece, yeah, first and second, yeah. Such a missing first time. Such a missing. Get back to the day. No, nobody really tested me. Such a missing. Get back to the day. Immediacy is going straight for the dead, or at least a little ahead. Such immediacy, I love the way you look in that such immediacy, I feel turn sex on red. Such a immediacy, go straight for that first time. Such a immediacy, go straight for their head. Such a immediacy, go straight for the middle deck. First time sex, darling, going right for the lower deck. Just a little head. First angel, baby, that you took me back. No words for what your eyes back into my head. There's no words that ever could be said. That I enter you with a passion twisted into the day. When I look back, it could never be said. My soul feeling so damn delicious. I just want me every word that was happening. Go straight for a little bit. Go straight for a little head.
Every thrust, every pleasure move, the words never be said. I just wanna be in chorus with you, put it on my back. I just wanna be chorus with you, yeah, first time of day. Know exactly what Lord Bible means and what Texas. Just time, sex, and rap, maybe a love.
So that was Deep Romantic Intent, and we're back. And so yeah, that was really more piano focused and a little more radical use of D-Fam.
Time back, baby, cool tongue glass, baby. No fashion lady.
Strange modulation happening for the rhythm section. Some of that, because of YouTube's compression, doesn't come as good as it sounds on our SoundCloud. We have noticed that, and there's a couple people like Alamo Music had an episode saying that sometimes synths don't sound so good on YouTube. Sorry about that. Maybe the Facebook version sounds better.
No, she's
And we did find that there's some kind of doubling going on our LA preamp or VC, where we get like an additional kind of double echo. So we're sorry about that. It happened on the other videos. We're learning about that. We didn't see that kind of behavior before. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. They might change something. So we're trying to figure out how to deal with it. Right now we can deal with it by just muting our PC. And letting the signal goes through the LA, but then we can't hear it. But we know it's there, so it's all good. We're gonna do one last song off the playlist. We're gonna get into the song we call "One Path to the Curve on Your Back," or "Curve of Your Back." So we're gonna get into that and play that. That's the next song we're gonna play off the list. So. Hold a second. We're going to get into it right now.
Time back, baby, for your cool tongue glass, baby. No fashion lady. We're gonna get it, no, maybe. Tongue lash, baby. Little tongue back crazy. Legs spread wide, baby. We're gonna get it in, no, maybe. No, my baby, no, she's ready for it, raving. No, she's ready for it, raving. Tongue lashes, jams, baby. She's gonna spray, baby. Gonna get laid, lady. Ocean spray, baby. Ready for your tongue lash. Ready for no crash. Ready for it in your hand. No, I don't care about your past. There's only one path. Don't give a about your past. This is only one crash. You're the ocean wave, a splash.
Legs wide open, baby. Red balls keep crazy. No, I love my lady. She's like to see it come spray. In, out, in, no doubt. Love it when she comes out loud. Love it when she screams out in the shout. All this time, baby, that ocean spray. Tongue lashing, baby, no way, no maybe. Time for your tongue bath, baby. Gonna get close, crazy. I go back, baby. Legs square, wipe it over, baby. No, baby. You'll be my ocean spray, baby. Rain, baby. Not for your bath, time for it. No crack, no drug, no crash. Don't give a care about your path. No, there's only one path. Curve of your back and in your wonderful ass. No, there's only one path. Yeah, a curve back in a wonderful ass. No, that want you name. Tongue bath, crazy. You wanna get that? No rave, no rave, no. Tongue bath, crazy. Always your back, baby. Curve your back, baby. Going one path to your ass now, crazy. There's one path laid. One path is crazy. One path is crazy. One get tongue bad, baby. You wanna get tongue bad like crazy. Only one path to the curve of your back, baby. Wanna get tongue bad and haze. Only one path to the curve of your back, baby. One path, baby. On the curve of your back, baby. It leads to the crazy. Yeah, tongue bath in the air. Tongue bath lady. Yeah, tongue bath lady. Oh, one path, baby. Let the curve of your back crazy. Your tongue gonna lash in climax. Know that you gotta relax. Only one pack crazy. To the curve of my back, baby. Feel it, tongue
Okay,
back,
and Electric
baby.
Ghost, and that was one path to the curve of your back in the YouTube video that we created for that. So we're gonna mute it and stop it. And now we're back, and we're probably gonna end the show today, but we're gonna go again and bring up a couple of people, well, sponsors again. And we encourage you to check these out. Again, check out Double Jack Online. Use your cell phone to scan that code. And they're a philanthropic online lottery. You can play Keno. You can play Powerball. And a percentage of the profit goes to charity. Again, take your cell phone, scan that, and check it out. It's only outside the US, but if you use a VPN, you can get into it. So, yeah, we wanted you to check that out. The other thing we wanted you to get into is Newsly. So we're going to get into that in a second. Newsly.com or .me is an app on your iPhone, and what it does is it lets you do basically it reads the news to you. So if you go out to Newsly.me and use Ghost 2021, you receive 1 month free premium subscription. Not sure if that code still works, but check out Newsly. It reads the news to you. If you're somebody who likes to multitask, that's pretty cool. Cool thing to do. Again, we're going to be doing our PEG Bedroom Producer Festival in February 11th through the 13th, starting at 6 o'clock on Friday the 11th. A lot of bands are going to be playing live or on video, and do 20, 30-minute sets, and gives a lot of bands an opportunity to play to our audience. The Bedroom Producer Festival is about taking our guests who we've interviewed on the podcast and having them perform on their music. And so that's what it's about. So thank you again for listening to Ghost. Please check out our sponsors. And also if you go to our Spotify or SoundCloud, you can hit the COVID-19 support button, just like you can for any other artist in this day and age of the coronavirus. If you love a musician, just like you love a YouTuber, you can help us out. Go to any individual artist that's on Spotify or SoundCloud, and you'll notice there's a COVID-19 support button that allows you to do a PayPal me donation of whatever amount you want to help that musician. If you love them, don't just listen to their music for free or for little money for streaming. We only get like 0.004 or 0.06 of a penny for every stream. So if you really love a musician, you want to help them out, and you dig their music and you're listening to it all the time, playlist it, like it, favorite it, subscribe to your musician's podcast, become a subscriber. If you're on YouTube listening, it really is important to subscribe to the musician you listen to, because the subscribe numbers help us become monetized. So it's very, very important that if you love the artist that you're listening to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the playlist it on your own playlist, get friends to listen to it, hit the support button, buy the merch, do everything you can. Thank you very much for listening to The Ghost.